Hello, my fine, beautiful people. I'm back here once again with another album review, and today I'm going to be looking at Larks Tounges In Aspic by King Crimson. Released March 23rd, 1973, features the tracks Larks Tounges In Aspic Part 1, Book of Saturday, Exiles, Easy Money, The Talking Drum, and Larks Tounges In Aspic Part 2. The lineup for this album is one of the more well-known King Crimson lineups, probably one of the most stable, with Robert Fripp, John Wetton, Bill Bruford, David Cross, and Jamie Muir. Now, I'm sorry this review has been quite a long time. The reason for that, I cannot settle on a grade for this. It always seems to depend on the day, is to whether I'm like, you know what, I'm happy with this grade, I'm happy with that grade. So that's why it's kind of been a while. I'm sorry about that. And also with these, I want to kind of cut down the length of them quite a bit. So the thing about this album for me is half of it's instrumental, half of it has lyrics to it, and there's a part of it. Now, King Crimson around this time moves away from what I'd say traditional kind of avant-garde jazz into more free-flow improv type stuff. And at times it works completely well. And let's get into it. So Larks Tounges In Aspic's instrumental, experimental. I really love the intro to this song. It has a very, at the beginning, kind of a very island feel to it. I'm wondering if they were using a steel drum. But it has this very beautiful part. Then it moves into this very more haunting violin section, and then just into the craziness that is King Crimson. You have themes coming out of this. But the one thing I'll say about this is, as much as I like this, and there's parts of it where it feels very good, there's also parts of it where it sounds like, you know what, did they have a steady idea going into this? Or was it kind of just, let's throw everything at the wall and hope it works? And it's kind of one of those feelings I've had, especially the first track. Second track, Book of Sunday, has a very radio feel to it, very much where it's like, you know what, let's throw it on the radio. It can play there. I love the feel to it. I love the melody and the vocals of John Wetton. Fantastic singer. And has a very mellow atmosphere. Exiles has this very epic, like you're in a strange land feel to it, followed by this beauty and hope melodies, and then it's like despair. Like, there's so much contrast on it, and it works so well. The violins come in, there's piano. It goes from beauty to melancholy. It's singing in and out of all these different feelings, and it's a really great song. Also love Robert Fripp's acoustic playing. I love any time Robert Fripp's on an acoustic guitar, because some of the melodies and stuff in it's really good. Easy Money, thick bass, soft guitar, vocals, start. It has a nice little sound effect and a jam in the middle, infectious lyrics, very catchy. Also, what I forgot to mention on the first song, Larks Tounges In Aspic, also has kind of like this TV thing going in and out on it around the end, and I actually really enjoy that. I find it very interesting. Song 5, The Talking Drum. The intro makes it feel barren, like you're in this barren wasteland, kind of winter storm. And it also has this very psychedelic rhythm to it. It's very infectious. And it has this really great intensity to it. The only problem with it is it stops so abruptly to where you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? Because you're like so lost in it, and then bam, it's just abruptly over. And then we're into song number 6, the final song, Larks Tounges In Aspic Part 2. I like this song. I can see where bands might get like kind of that proto-prog metal type feel from it. It has a really good rockin' beat to it. Soft middle section. However, I'm not sure if it's violin or it's something stringy going on in the middle, and it's kind of one of those where you're lost, and it's so harsh, it's so abrupt that it kind of took me out of the song. And that's something that I'm like, damn, I wish they would have changed that. But anyway, that's Larks Tounges In Aspic. Pros to the album, I have to say, Wetton and Bruford on this are beasts. They're amazing on this record. Especially Wetton's silky smooth vocals, which I adore. I think he's one of the best King Crimson singers through the vocal range. The middle section of the album, from Book of Saturday to the Talking Drums, is, in my opinion, could be classified as some of King Crimson's best music stretch from song to song to song to song to song. It's amazing. Like, it's kind of one of those. And I found it with King Crimson. The shorter some of these songs are, the better they are. And it works. And some of these songs I wish were just a bit longer. And it's just really good. It left me wanting, it's like, I kind of want some more of that instead of some of the other stuff. The violin on it is absolutely beautiful at times. It just really works. Like I said, there's that one part at the end where it kind of took me out of it. But it works so well. Fripp at times on guitar absolutely kills it. He is a really good guitar player. My cons for the album is Larks Tounges In Aspic. I'm not a huge fan of the bookends of this album, which I noticed some would be like, what the hell do you mean? That's like some of prog's greatest stuff. And it's like, we all hear music differently, and to me, it's not I don't like it, because there is some sections of those songs where I'm like, that's interesting, that's beautiful, I like that. But there's also parts where I'm like, why is this here? Like, why? And I don't know, I found that especially during the first song, I'm like, it's interesting, but then I listened to the rest of the album and I'm like, could this have been stretched a little more? Could he got more out of this? Gave some more time to this, maybe shortened the title track quite a bit, and still came out with the same result. And I keep thinking to myself, man, like, even have one more song on the album would have been great, which I know to some would be absolute sacrilege, is what I'm saying, but that's kind of my opinion on it. I know we all hear music differently. I'm very new to prog, but I've been really listening to this album for about 2-3 months, and every day it changes what I think of it, which might be its endearing quality on it. Yeah, the best song on the album for me, Book of Saturday. I love it. I love that song a lot. It's really good. Worst song on the album, it really was hard, but I said, you know what, Larks Tounges In Aspic Part 1, to me, is the weakest song on the album, which I know to some might be sacrilege. Hidden Gem, I think Easy Money or Exiles are fantastic. That middle section of this album, Talking Drum, from Book of Saturday to Talking Drum, great. The title track, Part 1 and 2, not quite sold on it. But this is where I really had a problem. What grade to give this album out of 5? Because I'm like, okay, is it the best King Crimson record I've ever heard? No. I quickly said no. Is it at least middle of the road album? And I said, no, it's not that either. So I'm like, I'm already in above 50%. How much of this album did I like? And I said, well, I like from song 2 to 5. And it's like, thinking about that, that's 4 out of 6. So that's 66.7%. And then I'm like, okay, then how much of the songs that I'm not really a fan of do I like? And the more and more, because this has always been the hardest thing, is grading these. And I'm like, you know what? Part of me is like, damn, It's between a 3.5 and a 4, because I'm not one of these to give a 0.75. I'm not one of those guys. I want to actually make a decision on it, and I said, you know what? For this album, I think I gave, what is it, Lizard, I gave that 4.5. And the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what? Larks Tounges In Aspic, I know this is probably sacrilege. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Because I'm like, you know what? I enjoy over 70% of this record, and it's fantastic. And then it's like, but it's just those two songs, I just can't get into them. I've tried. This might be something where maybe in a year or two, I revisit the album and I come away with a completely different grade. That can happen. So anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions on Larks Tounges In Aspic by King Crimson. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell me down below, what do you think of Larks Tounges In Aspic by King Crimson? Am I missing something? Is there just something not happening here where it's just not clicking for me? But anyway, tell me if you like the album, hate it, put it down in the comment section. I just ask you guys to be civil with one another. If you disagree, just say, hey, like, we can agree to disagree. It's one of those things I like, keeping the comment section civil. Anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions. This is me here once again signing out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.